When is a Skullcandy not a Skullcandy? Well, when it's this, in my opinion, the fantastic looking Aviator 900 ANC. It has no crusher-based drivers whatsoever to beat the living eyeballs out of you like recent Skullcandies have, but instead relies on good old audio engineering tuning to get the point across. Or does it? Let's find out, and TLDR, it comes pretty close, but no cigar. The Skullcandy Aviator 900 ANC. This is the second gen, guys, and just pause for a second and admire how this thing looks. I'm just in love with the design on this thing. 40mm dynamic drivers doing all the grunt work, Bluetooth 5.3 on board with, strangely, AAC and SBC support only. There's no high-res anything, no LDAC, no aptX lossless, so if that's or those things are your jam, you probably have to look elsewhere. 3 mics per side that handle phone calls and ANC pass-through processing or input and all that such. Battery life, during my time with this, 47.3 hours with ANC on at 65% volume. None of the spatial audio stuff turned on. So yeah, wear detection is also on board with auto pause play, of course. When you yank one or just remove one of the ear cups, it will stop or start media. The weight on these things is 290 grams according to my scale. The company claims it's 336. That's a whole lot of a big difference. So yeah, I tested over and over again. It's 290 for what it's worth. And the price on this, guess what, guys? $300 for this. Oh my goodness, for Skullcandy. But we'll talk more about that as well later on. What you have on board also is multi-point, Google Fast Pair, as well as low latency modes. And something that's more often now trickled down from gaming headsets is side tone during phone calls. A big part of why this is called the Aviator is, well, you guessed it, they modeled it after aviation headsets, like those worn by pilots. You got the exposed coil cables, you got the oval black ear caps or ear cups or everything. And by the way, this is the only colorway that you get. Perhaps they'll launch limited editions further down the line, but this is the only version that you get for now. But I'll tell you what, the Skullcandy designers have just gone to the nth degree here, and I'm not hyperboling. I'm not like, I haven't been paid to say the lick of this. The design, the material choices, the workmanship on this, it is spot on, guys. Just absolutely fire. Now, starting at the top, for example, you have this felt lining that is not padded and it's really nice to the touch. At the bottom, you have padding that stretches from here to here. Pretty generous. Also pretty generous is the ear pads right here. They're not the super most plush for a premium flagship, but is very comfortable nonetheless. As far as I can tell, it's not removable though. I've twisted this and yanked this as hard as I can. And I remember the first gen being removable, but I know that was, I think, destructive. So maybe this is the same. If you know better than I do, please comment down below and let us and help us out. Otherwise, there are a lot of details here that I see every time something new is just awesome. Like the slider mechanism is so smooth and it's just over-engineered on over there. There's this little rubber piece on the back here. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera right at the end there that prevents chafing. Like if your head is a little bit larger, it prevents it rubbing against too much on the plastic, which is a really nice touch. There's this little magnet right there that locks everything in place. And instead of a traditional yoke, well, there is a traditional yoke right there, but it is hidden under this transparent cap, which is like cool. I like it. Even though the yoke is hidden behind this cover, the articulation is pretty good. Actually, you can compact it down to a small size like this without the case and just store it in a backpack if you like. Tons of vertical axis movement as well. Very, very adjustable to your head size. Now, another thing is the controls. This thing is amazing. Let me power. This is the power button, and there's actually an LCD display. Yes. Let's hold this down. Power on. And we have a toggle too. This, when you go up and down, is volume up, volume down. You can do the same for when you just hold it and release it. And this is forward, backward track if you go left and right. And there's also an enter button. If you hit it once, pause, play, or accept calls and such. If you double tap it, it is calling up your assistant and such. There's also a hold command. And on the left here, look at this wheel. It controls ANC, pass-through, and all that. And that's all it does. And here we have a custom button that you can switch out with a bunch of controls. By default, it just switches between your different EQ profiles, which is really nice to do on the fly. 3.5 at the bottom, which you can use for listening, and also the USB-C charging. We'll talk more about all of those details, performance, and that later on in the episode. Oh man, I just love how this thing looks, I'll tell you what. Somewhat unexpected for a flagship headphone, but totally expected for a Skullcandy is their version of a carry case. Here, you get a sling pouch of some kind that you can strap over your shoulder like a messenger bag. You can remove it if you want, of course, and just convert it to a normal carry case. And this is waterproof or rainproof up to a point. You have this protected zipper pulls and sliders here, and the pocket itself is felt line even on the outside, is nice and deep all the way down here. And the main compartment, look at that zipper, nice and smooth too, sealed as well. It is felt line all the way through with two elasticized pockets, nice and large one, and you can just drop the headphone into the main compartment you like. And in here you see the included USB-C to USB-A charging cable, as well as the 3.5 to 3.5. We're back at it, guys, outside doing the Bluetooth range test, and fall is definitely kicking in. I have Michael Mayo, fantastic master of voice, doing one or you and you, piping from my OnePlus Open to the Skullcandies here. And I'm going to take the headset from the back of the house towards the side, and we do this every single week to see how strong the signal holds up. So direct line of sight, obviously no problem right now. Thank you for joining me today, by the way, guys. And it's a beautiful day. There's no sun, but the air is fresh and cold, and there's some wind occasionally, like blowing the leaves around. And I think when that kicks in, it'll be fantastic for the mic test later. But anyways, still going strong, the signal. Headphones tend to hold on to the signals much better than earbuds. There you go, 75 feet away from the main point. So there's a house between this and the phone, so that's not bad at all. Now, in terms of the fit and the look on this, guys, you can see these look like aviation headsets, and I like it, really nice. Now, I do want to note something about, like, right now I'm running with a hat, totally secure, and I have medium-sized earlobes. And say if you didn't have a hat and if you have big ears, this thing is gonna go flopping around like crazy. But anyways, we're done with this one. Let's head down to the road and test out the mics on these. Run, 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 run. There's air entering the mic ports on this, and you can probably hear it in the recording. And the downside is both the listener and the speaker will hear wind entering it. So I've tested this. I hope we get some good samples as the wind, brisk wind comes through, like right around there. Not really that one. But anyways, your listener will hear like sound coming through the mics, as well as you, because it enters into the cavity, and you can hear it as well. So thumbs down to that part. In terms of noise suppression testing 1, 2, 3, you can hear that my voice gets also confused with the background sounds, and it tries to cancel it out as well. So we have a lot of fall leaves. You can probably hear it under my feet. How's that? Where are all the cars? It's like supposed to be end of work day. Yeah, here comes the car, and I hope we get some wind. I see it up in the trees, but not down here at ground level. Testing 1, 2, 3. But trust me, the mics on these don't handle wind very well, even though technically they don't have any kind of wind rejection technology. So there's that. I'll give it that anyway, but it does let a lot of air through. There it is. Testing 1, 2, 3. Do you hear that? Do you hear what I'm talking about?
You can totally tell when companies give free rein to its designers to run with an idea and have fun with it. Like each time I pick up these headphones, I find new elements or details to appreciate, like the magnets that keep the ear cups locked in place where it meets the headband, or the tan mustard colored inner lining of the ear pads that give it a small touch of class. The rather good looking exit holes for the coral cables, they didn't have to put it there, but it's there. The tiny rubber pad behind the headband slider that prevents chafing, or that LCD display that serves very little purpose since you can't see it most of the time, but is bloody cool all the same. Of course, good looks ain't nothing if it has no substance. And we're talking about the headphones here. This Asian specimen that you see is another story for another time, yes. So anyways, let's talk SQ real quick. Moonlight Sonata by Marcin. If you've heard that song, it tests the ability of any audio playback device like your headphone or speaker in handling the high-speed barrage of like finger-picking and flamenco percussions. So poorly tuned drivers or treble-centric headphones will reproduce the steel string plucks as shrill noise. And here, the Aviator unfortunately shows its weakness. Now, switching to a track with nylon strings instead, like Chai Chin's 切似你的温柔, or just like your tenderness, helps the Aviator to regain some brownie points. It shows good composure, although I wish detail retrieval was a little bit better. And yes, you can head into the EQ and bring in actually an impressive level of clarity, but it must be said, it comes at the expense of body and fullness. Straight out of the box, sound is okay, and then when you fiddle with the app equalizer, it becomes a good. Now, I do wish Skullcandy threw in a smaller, maybe more advanced type of crusher woofer, unless, the company wanted us to think that it can be mature from time to time without resorting to all that irresponsible hit-banging, thumping bass. Personally, though, if you ask me, I think a flagship like this should have every tech, every feature that Skullcandy has thrown at it, but in a more refined and perfected form. And one last note, wired listening through 3.5 bypasses the electronics even if the headphone is powered on. And in this case, the SQ, it's slightly sharper in terms of treble and you lose a bunch of bass, just like a lot of headphones tend to do, but otherwise, overall, it's listenable if you really have to. The control setup on this thing, I'll tell you what, guys, is absolutely clean. It's hard to fault the well-placed toggles, the wheel, the buttons that are a peach for your fingers to find and activate even in the dark. Now, do I wish the wheel could be customizable beyond controlling ANC and pass-through? Sure. But in a world of Me Too headphones riddled with buttons that don't think about ergo too much, I'll take what I can get. These avocado-shaped ear cups right here, guys, the openings, they cut it way too close to my average size earlobe, so definitely not made for larger ears. And so, test before you commit. As we all saw earlier in the close-ups, the transparent outer caps may look totally clean, but IRL, they won't stay clean for very long because once dirt or skin flakes or what have you get in through the top right there is no way to extricate them easily. It's just one of those things you absolutely cannot prevent, guys. Like one way or another, the cap is going to end up looking like, I don't know, a dust canister in a vacuum. Whoo-wee! $300 for a Skullcandy is a hard, well, candy to swallow. Yes, I went there. I think the Aviator is more of a $230 kind of product, but the company has basically priced the Aviator into a corner here because on one hand, the Crusher ANC2, which is the next model down in the catalog, is already $240, believe it or not. And on the other hand, this thing right here, the flagship, is required to have a premium price to justify its position at the top of the Skullcandy totem pole, right? But I guess when you look at it from a wider lens, from a price perspective especially, the Aviator is actually cheaper than most other name brand flagships from Sony, Bose, Apple, Sennheiser. But, the fact is, many of us, the tech consumers you watching right now, just aren't prepared for these kind of crazy inflation and tariff-induced price hikes, from a Skullcandy no less. I mean, I dare say, if the company had collabed with a prominent name in audio like, I don't know, Harman or Bang & Olufsen, and also got the audio tuning bang on perfect the first time around, that kind of cachet could have transformed the Skullcandy stereotype. Just a suggestion. For the first 2-3 weeks of use, I noticed that audio would cut out randomly and intermittently, especially when I would head bob to music or if I lean over to reach for something. And initially I thought it was like a connection or Bluetooth issue or maybe even a bug. And then one day I decided to turn off wear detection in the app for some reason. And guess what? The problem went away completely. So perhaps the sensor on my unit is hypersensitive, or maybe it points to a larger problem. If you took apart some of the core pieces, the Skullcandy Aviator 900 ANC is like a mainstream ANC equipped version of the Player 720 gaming headset that we looked at recently. Like when I turn off Crusher on the 720 and just let the drivers do all the, driving, I swear these two sound alike. But anyways, I digress. Back to the Aviator itself. I would give this a strong maybe. The industrial design, the packaging, the app are all very memorable and fantastically done. But for the price, I wish the SQ was equally outstanding without having you to work for it. But if you don't mind that compromises, yeah, I say go check it out. Well, that was my take on the second gen Aviator, and I'm sticking to it, dang it. And I hope you found it useful in some form or another. And thank you so much for wasting your time on this channel. You're the best audience ever, I'll tell you what. And I hope this thing drops in price because it's really expensive. Everything is expensive right nowadays. It just sucks for us down here at the bottom of the totem pole. Yeah, anyways, if you like to see more content like this, you know what to do. Press all the buttons down below, subscribe, like, reshare this and everything. And remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because guess what? If you haven't seen the news, the world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you all very much. Peace out and God bless.